Welcome! Week 11 in the books. Moving on to week 12. We got some epic guests for you here on the UPBL Superflex THROWIN ROPES show! Welcome, everybody. We got Bruce and Zeke. How's it going, boys?
What's up, boys? What's up? Let's talk a little fantasy football.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wow, you guys just floated in from the heavens. What an angelic, epic entrance. All right, lads, let's tear right into the games of last week, week 11. We'll end with the barn burner, but the first barn burner, I mean, what is with our schedule, guys? I mean, there's exciting games every week, multiple, and that's just due to a roll of the dice and the draft. Here we got Jamaican Shamans and Team Danky Punch in a 2-point battle decider, where Danky Punch just pulls it off against Jamaican Shamans, who are in 11th place, 3-8 for the Shamans. Danky Punch 7-4. How'd that go there, boys?
I'm sure Danny was sweating a little bit at halftime. I think Hertz had not even a point. Is that right?
He might have had a touch. No, yeah, he didn't have a touchdown. It was DeAndre Swift who had the one touchdown, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Jalen Hurts didn't catch on till second half.
And crazy stat or crazy situation. If Devontae Smith scores that touchdown, Danny loses.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because that was a 2-point swing.
He'd slide down to 6-5, which would put him on par with Bruce at the moment in 6th place. So
this was a very extremely boring and satisfying matchup, but Danny pulls it off, and he leaves you and I in the most exclusive plus 100 club in the league, doesn't he?
The triple digis club, as I refer to it.
That's right.
That's true. Zeke and I are the only ones left in the triple digis club. All 11 weeks so far in the triple digis. That's Danky lose but he doesn't make it there, but he still pulls out the win. That definitely was a huge one for him. Poor Shamans, and to make matters worse for the Shamans, 11th place, Joe Burrow.
Gone. Yeah.
See you next season, Joe.
I mean, it would be hard if he was in the hunt, but he's the bottom 4, so it doesn't hurt that bad. I can't imagine.
Moving on to the next match, it's Union Peer Machines and Fibonacci Sequence, with huge playoff implications here. Union Peer Machines scrambling to try and make the playoffs, but also right now in control of their destiny with the points, with potentially trying to get in via the points 4 wild card. They do not own that wild card quite yet, but they're vying for it. Union Peer Machines take the match 115-105, going to 8th place, 5-6 for the Machines. Fibonacci with a big loss after how many wins in a row was that, Zeke? 7-4 they slide to.
5.
Yeah, 5 wins in a row.
Boom, busted by Union Peer Machines. And he didn't lose it because of Herbert. Herbert and Keenan Allen certainly produced, but his running backs, Jaleel McLaughlin, Rico Dowdle, gotta believe there might have been somebody else he could have pivoted to on the waiver wire this week, like maybe Royce Freeman, who I saw somebody else pick up and play to some effect, who put just about what those guys put together combined. I think it was 7.
Yeah, he really missed his running backs, that's for sure. But I mean, still, to put up 105 and you didn't have both of your starting running backs, I mean, that's not too bad.
Definitely not too bad. Cortland Sutton with a good week. Zeke.
Dude, that catch was awesome.
Oh, but 2 weeks in a row from Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson having some magical connections. How's that going there for you, Zeke?
Yeah, man, I think it's been a nice little match made in heaven in the middle of the season. But it's a bummer, Fibonacci had a little momentum, and he kind of looked a little scary, and we kind of boosted him up the power rankings, kind of got his legs cut out from underneath him. After 5 wins in a row, the hammer had to fall. And you know what? This is the second win in a row for Jack, and Jack and Allison look pretty damn scary going into the last half of the season. We'll talk more about that when we talk about future matchups.
Crazy set of events here for Union Pure Machines that they're going to have to be dealing with. Darrell Henderson cut earlier today. No longer a part of the LA Rams. He's now a free agent, and so did Union Pure Machines. He cut him, but lo and behold, you scroll a little bit down lower on the roster, boom! There's Kyron Williams, he who might be coming back this weekend. And supposedly he is, because that's why they cut Hendo.
Wow. Well, Jamar Chase is going to take a big hit with the Burrow thing, so he's going to need some shoes to fill, and so, it's going to help.
Pollard finally shows up. Good week for him, 16 points. And Devin Singletary. Great little move by Machines to pick up Devin Singletary. Damian Pierce, he moved on to the IR. And you know what? Going forward, Singletary might be the back to own out of that Houston backfield.
If Jack makes the playoffs, the Singletary pickup will be the reason why. The last 2 weeks have been just unbelievable. I mean, he's put up 40 points total or something. Without him, I think he loses both of these matchups these last 2 weeks.
Tommy lost both of his running backs to the buys over the weekend. When he gets those back, he's going to be very reliant on Bijan Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson. Does Tommy have enough to take it all the way down the stretch, guys?
I think he does. I think he has a powerful team. He just had a bad week. But, what's really got me thinking is who would have thought that this Houston offense would be would be on fire and have all these studs, It's just so crazy.
Unreal.
Great to see. Great for the NFL.
Final thoughts on the Machines and the Sequence boys?
I think both are making the playoffs.
Ooh, bold statement there, Bruce. Stick a flag in that, because I could join you on that. They're both powerful teams. I think you're right.
Yep.
Well, I think Bruce has Machines last game of the season, and I think it might come down to that.
Oof. Damn, that's gonna be a crazy matchup. Moving on to, speaking of podcast guest matchups, we're getting into this week's best physique of the week versus Goon Squad. Goon Squad, man, the wheels are falling off the wagon the farther we get into the season. Christian McCaffrey and Travis Etienne still account for nearly 30 points, which is as good as you can expect for a good pair of running backs. But man, oh man, his wide receivers let him down. Goon Squad falling to 10th place, 3-8. Physique holding up there in second place, 9-2, 109-79.
Yeah, just I looked at his roster going into the game, and I was like, ooh. It's a sexy looking roster. He might have a good week, but I think the ball kind of dropped, and the fact that he had Calvin Ridley on the bench just kind of sums up the unluckiness for him this week,
And just unlucky in general. I believe he's probably top 3 or 4 in points against, and then I think what's really hurting him is his quarterback too. Just not having that strong quarterback too is just hurting him.
Uncle Jay is currently number 1 in points against. Goon Squad. Wow. Call him the unluckiest team in the league. Call Zeke the luckiest team in the league. Team Danky Punch not too far behind him.
I also feel like Russell's been playing good football, but I keep looking at Kyler Murray, and he's putting up 17 plus, 21 plus, and I'm kind of chomping at the bit to switch him out. But
feed the wolves.
I'm sorry.
And feed the wolves, the waiver wire wolves.
That's right. I have literally Jeff ask me fucking 5 times a day if I'm gonna do it.
So many teams will try and pick him up.
Gosh,
it'd be fun to see, to watch. But yeah.
I need Kyler has a bye week 14, and I just need the time to line up. So I think what I'm going to do is, if I do start Kyler, it's going to be week 15, first week round of the playoffs, which is kind of scary. But I don't know. We gotta see, because then again, I don't want to drop.
You're going to start Kyler Murray versus San Francisco. Wow, that's bold.
Who does Russ play?
Russ plays week 15 He's going to be playing the Detroit Lions. I almost said Red Wings.
Is that at home or in Detroit?
At Detroit.
You know, it might be just worth holding on to, Russ by starting him, because if I do, then the waiver wire wolves will take it.
Yep.
Would it be a crazy story?
I'm gonna give you some free advice, Zeke,
Yeah.
and obviously take it for what it is. But I'm playing Russ against Detroit.
Huh. I think even if I don't play Kyler ever, him just riding my bench is more, it
Worth
helps
it?
me than anybody
Deprive
else.
the league. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Hurt. Yeah, that is a better idea, right? Just in case somebody who needs them could pick them up. I mean, look at what has happened with Dobbs and Tommy.
And look at Jeff. I mean, yeah, Baker's been serviceable, but who knows? Like, maybe Russ has a better rest of the season, and then he could possibly take over. And I mean, you're obviously, Zeke, like, you're still trying to get that number one spot.
Yeah.
And you have to just keep winning.
Yeah.
And like because I believe Jeff has like the third most fab dollars left, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting situation for you.
Zeke needs his three monsters to keep East eating. What's that dog in the bottom of Hades? Cerebus, Kelsey, Hill, Evans. He needs that dog to keep eating, because Madison, Keaton Mitchell falling apart. His running back situation not doing too solid. He does have Alvin Kamara he'll be able to repivot to, but that'll be the question mark for Zeke. Let's spend a few words on Goon Squad before we move on to the next match here. Goon Squad looking like they're almost done here. So, swirling in the bottom of the bowl. They still have some great running backs, but man, oh man, their quarterbacks, Love and Stafford, might be good next year.
This whole team next year is going to be fire, but it's not next year, it's this year.
Interesting.
Like, the whole team he has is great for next year.
It really is, probably. Garrett, Zay, Jerome, Calvin, Kareem.
Even Love, I think, takes a step up next year.
Jaden Reed, yeah, Love. I mean, like, there's lots of guys who take steps up, and Stafford continues supposedly. Unless you guys think he retires?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't either.
All right, boys, let's move on to the next match here. Sharp Fingers versus the Power Walkers. Thought for a second their Sharp Fingers might pull it off, with Tank Dell officially changing his name and having a hell of a day too while he was at it. Officially changed his name with the NFL to Tank Dell. That was his nickname. Now it's his real name. According to the stat books, 25 points. And Goff decent, but really 30 points out of Gibbs and Montgomery. Once again, man, the Detroit running backs, they're startable. That's 2 weeks in a row.
It is unbelievable how much he rolls them both out every week, and they just produce. Even just the Lions offense, like, they're probably top 5, like at least, like, offenses in the NFL. So I mean, I guess if it works, it works. Just keep going.
Over on the other side, sorry, Zeke.
I just noticed that, like, if he would have played Jared Cook, instead of Addison, and there's a few things that he could have done instead that he might have had this, but and it's just that, Dell played well, Goff played all right, and then he had his support players play really poor. If Sharp Fingers doesn't stop the bleeding, he's going to have 4 in a row, and he might miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what? This was really a winnable game. I didn't think you should be starting Cooper. My lineup, I mentioned this to him. Jeffrey and I, we behind the scenes, we will recommend our lineups. But Austin's his own GM. He makes his own calls. He looks up his own stuff. But still, he does like to hear our input. My rankings this week were Dell, Kincaid, Dobbs. As for his top wide receivers, I was saying, if you're going to play wide receivers, play Dobbs. And man, oh man, if you would have changed this week, and if he played Kincaid, Dell, and maybe Cook in the flex, and then maybe Addison. Well, it's hard to leave Addison out of your OP, but if you did and put Dobbs in, I didn't rate Addison this week because he was going against Patrick Surtain, the best corner in the football. So I just was like, you know what, my rankings would be those guys, and maybe if you put in Cook and Levis, he takes this week.
And then
I think the mistake was not playing a quarterback too.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that some people can get away with it, like if they're fortunate, in my opinion. But anytime that you can play a quarterback too, like I think you have to play a quarterback too, even if he's very low on the total poll, just because of the baseline of those points.
Well, that's the second time in a row that you've seen Austin just doubt his second quarterback. I mean, first it was Fields, to the point where Bruce was like, you know, if you don't have faith in him, I do.
Yep.
So Austin does have to figure out what's going on with the second quarterback position. I know it's scary to start Levis, but I mean, he's starting for a reason, and he's also not. He also isn't that quarterback from Arizona who was just dreadful.
And then if you look at Jeff's bench, it's so interesting. If you would have told me that Adams, Hopkins, and Lockett and Harris, all top draft picks, would be on his bench.
Insane.
Just because he has better inputs or better, players, you would think he's definitely going to win the league.
I think Jeff's baseline of points is like so high compared to I think any other team as far as just consistency.
Yes.
But it's that boom in the playoffs that I kind of wonder how it's going to go.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Totally.
Power Walkers hold on to the first spot, 9-2. Sharp Fingers in the 7th spot right now, also with that points for wild card currently. That because Bruce slid over Sharp Fingers into the 6th spot. Moving on to the next match, Big Old Titties versus Multiple Scoregasms. It was a blood feud this week. Thaddeus Rogozinski going against his future brother-in-law, Lucas. And man, oh man, Lucas gets his first win of the season. He's in 12th. This was all for pride for Lucas. Gets to pull one over his big bro, there, and Teddy. And Teddy falls. He's been having a bad year as it is, and the bad streaks continue. Despite getting a good week out of Kittle and Brock Purdy.
And you talk about just being unlucky with that Smith non-touchdown. If he scores there, Teddy wins.
And also Gus Edwards is absolutely balling out. So
he was talking about that to me on the weekend. He was over at my house watching the football game. He was like, "Yeah, I left Gus Edwards on the bench, but I just had more faith in Aaron at the time."
And Trevor Prince Charming Lawrence put the team on his back with 32 points and just got him the dub. I mean, all of his other players outside of Metcalf actually just fucking stunk it up. But Trevor Lawrence put the team on his back and got him the dub. So awesome rebound.
That said, he played just about the best lineup he could there. Marquise Brown, though, stank it up, 2.2. That was the one who almost could have cost it for multiple scores. But hey, he pulls it off. First win, 1-10. Doesn't get skunked. Titties and Scoregasms basically out of the running, I think. They're not really in the points for running either. They're lagging behind this year. They're figuring out stuff for next year.
Yep, they got a lot of time to think.
Start figuring out new draft strategies. I was talking with Teddy, and he was saying he doesn't think he's going to change too much. I'm like, you're not going to draft quarterbacks higher? It's like, I like running backs.
He has 2 rings, dude. He's got a secret sauce.
He does. Yeah. He does. It works, right? If it works, it works.
And really, like, he's the outlier of the league as far as playing position players in that OP spot. And obviously, history explains itself. Like, it works. So
he's like those teams that didn't adopt to the spread offense and then got those like late championship wins before the whole league converted to the spread offense,
Yes.
That might have something to do with it. All right, let's move into our matchup of the week last week. Social propaganda, me versus Bruce. My name's Bruce. Man, oh man, lost in early in the Monday night game. I kind of lost because DeAndre Swift went and scored a touchdown, and then AJ Brown proceeded to not catch anything after like one catch for 5 yards.
What's amazing to me is we got to see Dallas is a team that can definitely score 23 points on defense. Justin Fields is a quarterback that should be putting up 20 plus a week. You know, Saquon Barkley is an absolute machine now that the starting quarterback's out. They're run heavy. You know, we're seeing exactly what, you know, Bruce drafted him for. And then you have, you know, Jackson, who is, you know, flip-floppy, but like when he's high, he's high. So, I mean, his team just absolutely, the players are who we thought they were, and they did exactly what they needed to do to pull off the huge upset, the 2 top scorers of the week. And it just so happens that, James, you're the unlucky one to be matched up against the top scorer.
I know. I get second high score of the week, and usually you get second highest score of the week, man. You're like, yeah, got the dub. And maybe in Bruce's future system where we incorporate, which we could potentially incorporate, but I'm still not sold. To me, there's still something about the magic about the schedule. There's something magical about the fact that Jeffrey's in first place. Like, there's something magical about, even though I would be in first place under this new system, I think, because I would win against most weeks on average, and Jeffrey wouldn't win. Maybe he would win against this week on average.
I think Jeff's been first place since week 1, right? Like, he hasn't.
Yeah, he's ran. That's the thing. There's been something magical about this little run from Jeffrey. And so, like, you know, that's the one thing I do like about the schedule, where, you know, there's less games to parse that out. And if you add more games, then, you know, the clear power really does show itself. But so that, you know, there's something to be said for both systems.
How you feeling about the Mark Andrews hit?
Damn.
Dude, he was going to have a monster game. And, I mean, it was just fortunate
Would have lost by more.
that I won. Dude, I mean, like, going into Monday night, like, I
thought I had a shot because of the Andrews injury.
I thought it was done before the week started, but
I gotta say, Monday night I did not think it was done. I was like, you know, I'm like, I still need AJ to get a few catches, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, and he did it, dude. I mean, yeah, I even messaged you, like, I would be furious. It was crazy. And
he missed a touchdown. If he got that touchdown, I won.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if MVS
catches that touchdown, Danny loses because I think that Jalen ran it in. Hurts ran it in.
If MVS catches that touchdown for the Chiefs, within the last 2 minutes, and then the Eagles come back on offense, and then Brown goes. Whatever. Like,
exactly.
Catches for like 40 yards.
I was screaming for it.
Then you win. Yeah.
That was crazy game.
And the Cowboys defense, not having them in my lineup last week screwed me. But fortunately, having them in my lineup this week definitely obviously helped.
Boys, sorry, go on.
Well, I'm looking at Bruce's lineup, and T. Boyd isn't going to be that
He's
good
not
now
gonna
that
be
Burrow's out. And with Andrews out, it looks like you're going to slide Olave and Collins in your wide receiver spots, and then maybe throw Pacheco in your flex. And if that's the case, it's a fucking monster of a lineup, man.
You got it. And
boys,
I just have to put up points.
Boys,
I mean, obviously that's what we're all trying to do, but.
And Bruce, you are still, even if you slide out a spot out, you're still in a good position for that points for wild card.
Right. Yep.
Especially with more weeks like this.
I just got to play the right kicker.
That also could help. Amendola was not the play this week.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like, I can't pick right every time I go against Hopkins. Like,
Bruce is carrying 2 defenses and 2 kickers and still kicking ass. It's nuts. Boys, I got a question for you, though, before we move on to next week's matchups and beyond. What upsets you more, a fantasy loss or a Bears loss? Or if Bears are your team, the Bears losing, essentially. What makes your week go more sour?
I'll answer that first.
Yeah.
Bears are my team. They've been my team since I was a little kid. And, I've been a little bit sour about them moving to Arlington Heights. And I stuck with the Cubs for years. And when they won the World Series, I was like, fuck yeah. So it made me kind of like, I don't mind being rooting for the level losers for the rest of my life. The thing is, like, I'm used to the Bears loss and I'm used to the Bears disappointment. Whereas fantasy, it feels more personal and I'm not used to that this year. And so when you take a loss, everything doesn't feel right in the world. It's like, oh, what's going on? Is this the beginning of the end? That kind of thing.
So you take a fantasy loss harder than you take like a Bears loss?
At this point, yeah.
Bruce?
Yeah, at this point for me as well, like even with how the Bears lost, like it was like very frustrating, but that's what the Bears did. So I really was not surprised that they lost that game. But if I would have lost like this past week and one, that would have been definitely worse than the Bears loss. And two, if I would have lost by the amount of points of the deciding of kickers, I don't know what I would have done. You would not have heard from me for weeks. I mean, it would just been terrible.
I agree with you guys. I definitely take a fantasy loss harder than I take a Bears loss. However, perspective is everything, and sometimes when you got a super powerful team, you're like, and you lead the league in points for, you're like, you're a lock for the playoffs no matter what. That does soften the blow a little bit, but still the fantasy loss stings way more than seeing Justin Fields lose on a Sunday to the Lions. I definitely agree. Almost, and I think that's been pretty much the case all season for the Bears. Like there is like I agree with Zeke. They're my team for forever, but there's like I put a stiff arm. I stiff arm the Bears, knowing they're there to just drag me down and gonna tackle me well before the touchdown zone. So I'm gonna stiff arm them as long as I can.
But here's the thing. With every Bears loss, there's going to be a firing of the head coach.
Needs to be, please.
And the serendipity is going to line up perfectly because Harbaugh's done at Michigan, man.
Make me care. Sign fucking Harbaugh.
Harbaugh's done at Michigan. How can he redeem? He can only redeem it by going to the pros. To the Bears.
They're talking about Harbaugh to Chargers. They're talking about Harbaugh to other teams, and I was like, "What? No!"
Yeah, and just picture this: next season, DJ Moore, Justin Fields, and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Please.
And
Justin. Oh my God, yeah. Let's go.
You can't go away from Justin at this point.
No, he's better than Caleb paints my nails Williams and cries in my mommy's lap.
And no press conference after the game.
Oh, he's still breastfeeding? Jesus.
Here's another interesting. It's off topic, but it's kind of on topic. Is when the Bears moved to Arlington Heights, I've been obsessed with NFL expansion, and they're talking about by 2030 there's going to be 40 teams.
No, there's not a quarterbacks.
2040 there's going to be 40 teams. And I can see Chicago in the future having two teams and then moving the new team into Soldier Field. And in that case, whatever the new team, if the Bears still suck and they are in Arlington Heights, whatever the new team is that moves into Soldier Field, if the Bears still suck, I will jump ship and I will be the fucking Chicago. I don't know what they're
back. Bring the Cardinals back to Chicago.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
I mean, that's history. Chicago Cardinals. Really cool. They used to be the second Chicago team until their owners were like, they kept getting fucked by Chicago, and they were like, you're out of here. Boys, let's move on to next week's matchups. We got a couple, and we'll highlight our matchup of the week for everybody right after we do that. But first off, we got Social Propaganda taking on Big Old Titties. Not very big implications there. Social propaganda should have that one in the wraps. Any words?
I think Teddy's got to pick up a quarterback too. That's about it.
Yeah, I think you should have it in the bag, man.
Looking good. We'll move on to the next match. I don't think we got to spend too much time there, unless his running backs have a great day at the office, which is very possible these late weeks in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple score gasms taking on Sharp Fingers. This is also not too big of a matchup. It is for Austin. 12th place taking on 7th place. Austin really, if he ever needed a win, this one he needs.
I think, not only does he need a win, but I think he also needs to put up some points just to ensure a little bit more that he is in a good spot to try and make the playoffs. And not just put up like 90.
Yeah, I agree. Scorgazis have that one win behind them, man. They have momentum, and Sharp Fingers need to stop the bleeding. This could be a really close match. Don't be surprised if multiple Scorgasms get multiple wins.
In week 1, these guys met, and Sharp Fingers pulled it off by 4 points. The score was 100-96.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's got to put up. I think of it like at least 100.
And that week 1, Scorgasms lost Aaron Rodgers for 3 plays in.
Wow.
So that's why Scorgasms could have had a 120 week, a 120 week for score. They could have had. Just to pull back into my matchup versus Big Ol' Titties. Titties beat me week 1, 122-102, 20 points. They beat me by. So they definitely pulled it off before, but I need to get this one on Big Ol' Titties. Moving on to your guys' grudge match. We got our 2 podcast guests going at it. My name's Bruce, taking on Best Physique of the Week, 6th place for 2nd. They met in week 1 as well. And Zeke was the winner, 130-77.
Wasn't even close.
What will it be this week? Game of the week, I'm circling.
I felt really good coming out of that week 1. That was really nice.
This
week,
week,
I needed to trade my whole team.
This week, it looks like Bruce might have it in the bag.
I'm full power, so I'm hoping that'll be enough because I don't have any buys, I don't have anybody sitting out, I don't have any injuries. So this will be a test to see if this team is playoff worthy.
I just want to give myself a chance come, I think it's Monday night with Justin Fields. If I'm within, because I don't think you have Madison. So if I'm within I don't know, 10 points come Monday night, it'd be a dude coming down to these Monday night football games, man. It's fun.
It's been fun.
It's unfortunate we don't have a lot of Thanksgiving action, but whatever.
Sometimes you don't want Thanksgiving action.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want it because sometimes even in that Lions Commanders game, I think it's going to be under. I think it's going to be an under in the 49ers Seahawks game, and then I can't remember what the other game is. But yeah, sometimes you just don't want that because those Thursday night games can either be boom games or just bust games.
Well, Bruce, if you pull us off, you go 7-5. But I say after a win like this, back-to-back, top 3 team wins, man, that throws you up in the power rankings in my book.
Huge. It would be absolutely. You pull off this win against Zeke, that's definitely pull you up there. He beat me. I'm the most powerful team in the league.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close. It'll be close.
Should be a good one.
Hopefully, I'll be the right kicker.
Moving on to the next matchup, what I love about these matchups, we got past history. Power Walkers beat Union Pyramid Machines 128-91 in week 1. This week, Machines projected to beat the Power Walkers by 3 points. How's it going to turn out there, boys? You guys see it turning out that way?
Dude, this matchup too, is because between these past 2 matchups that we've covered, there are so many implications that if Zeke wins and Jeff loses, then Zeke is in first now. But then if Zeke loses and Jeff wins, then it's a game back. So it's as far as the matchup, like I'm leaning machines.
Yeah, I feel like if I lose, a Power Walker's loss will feel like a win for me, which is nice. But I feel like this is my upset alert of the week, man. I think Jack and Allison, they want to get that third win in a row. I think the win might be just by 3, like it's going to be super close. But what does this do for Jack and Allison's power rankings if they beat off the Power Walkers? It's just all fascinating. And he goes 6-6, and then he's kind of the scary team looking in. A lot of implications on this game, but not quite the game of the week for me.
Moving on to the next matchup, Goon Squad taking on Shamans. This is close to a battle of trying to stay out of last place. Goon Squad, and I mean they shouldn't have any troubles with since they got more than one win. Goon Squad and Shamans both in 3-8. 107 to 103 is the current projections. Who's going to take it this week?
I think Goon Squad turns it around.
I'm in agreement. I think Goon Squad's just got too many things coming right for him, where Shamans has too many things going wrong. I mean, he's gonna have to figure out quarterback situation. He's got Cooper Kupp no longer available. Shamans are in trouble.
I think Goon Squad's going to come down to who he decides to start, because he can get unlucky if he starts the wrong people. But I think any kind of win any win over the Jamaican Shamans is a great notch in the belt since they're defending champs. It feels good to get a little defending champ dub.
Goon Squad got the week 1 win, 145 to 71.
Once upon a time, man.
If he stays with this lineup, like I feel like benching Stafford is a mistake.
I don't think he's benching Stafford. I don't think he has turned his lineup on from this week, because I'm pretty sure Stafford was on a bye.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't. Stafford played Seattle.
Wasn't. Yeah.
He started Stafford last week. He might have be sitting.
What is he doing?
He might be sitting Stafford.
I mean, over Rondale Moore?
Wow. Well, if you're going for it.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's a show where the rules are made up and the points don't matter at this point. So
yeah,
whose line is it anyway?
Moving on to the last matchup of the week, another potential matchup of the week. It's Fibonacci sequence taking on Team Danky Punch, 4th place versus 5th place. Both 7-4 clubs. 115 for Tommy's projection, 111 to Danky Bunch. Who's gonna pull it out this week?
I think Tommy bounces back.
I gotta be very careful, because after beating Danny last week, I don't know. I wouldn't say he was on suicide watch, but he just got really quiet and probably was really depressed, and so I don't want to drive the hammer home, but I mean, I don't see him scoring more than 110 per usual. And, Tommy's team could rip. He can score 160. I think he's going to bounce back. I think this is where we see, Danny start to fade in the second half, in the last half of the season. And this is the time where the teams are who we thought they were. This is who we thought they were.
I think Fibonacci wins this too. I'm agreeing.
But I think this is a game of the week because there's so much on the line for both teams, not only record-wise with playoff indications, but just reputation.
So absolutely, my game of the week. I think Bruce and all of us were talking about this beforehand. Bruce, what were you saying about game of the week? There's kind of 2 different games of the week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a game of the week as far as I guess you could say fireworks and points wise.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Fireworks.
But then there's a game of the week for implications wise. So, I mean, this matchup is definitely the implications wise, like with Tommy and Danny. I mean, obviously, one team's going to go to 8-4, and one team's going to drop to 7-5. And the matchup between Zeke and I should, at least on paper, have a little bit more fireworks. So that would be the game as far as points wise of the week.
Boys, not too much happened in the world of football. Shaq Leonard let go from the Colts, a bit of a surprise. Deshaun Watson had some surgery. Talanoa Hufnaga, a very good player for the 49ers, injured. That could be potentially hurt their playoff chances, but still, they got enough around him. Michael Thomas placed on injured reserve. Darrell Henderson cut. Kyron Williams elevated, as I said. Aaron Jones, MCL sprain. That's going to be something for Teddy to watch out for. Seahawks dealing with Kenneth Walker having an oblique injury. I'm going to have to pivot Kenny to Charbonnet. And anything else notable out there in the league?
I'm just noticing this Fibonacci Denki matchup, and I'm hoping that Cortland Sutton is on the bench this week. I would definitely start him over Adam Thielen. I would. I feel like he's got the hot hand. I feel like he's the go-to with Russ. I think they've got a little momentum going on. I think it might be a mistake to keep him on the bench. Just saying.
Especially after the couple of magical touchdowns that they've put up the past couple weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, he's been the go-to in the red zone. So I don't know. Like I think Sutton has a better chance of scoring.
Justin Jefferson not coming back this week for Austin. Might be coming back after the bye. Hopefully Austin can make the playoffs, and have Justin Jefferson back in time for that. But
yeah, I don't think he's coming back until week 14.
Damn. Boys, before we get into a couple of predictions here, I just want to ask a question about, kind of week 11, look back, draft day. Would you do anything different?
Yes. I wouldn't have drafted Najee Harris in the third, but you could argue that draft for Najee Harris in the third was the impetus to have Jeff.
Yeah, it helped you
trade for Stroud.
Interesting.
The only thing that I would have done differently is I mean, it's obvious now, but at the time, it was either Allen or Olave. And obviously Allen was the right choice.
Oh, Keenan
in the third round.
Allen?
Yeah, Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my team would have been so much better. But that would be my one do-over.
For me, it would be J.K. Dobbins. At the time, I didn't want to make the pick, and I was like, but I guess I could I'll get a good running back here for a good offense. Got all of one game from him in 10 points, so that would definitely be my little
That
regret.
man just cannot stay healthy.
No. But, I mean, another thing, how are you guys valuing quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, defenses, kickers? I feel like I'm valuing every position differently this year than I have in the past. Kickers, totally different value to me than years past. Defenses, totally different value. Having a top 8, top 10 defense, you want that.
Yeah, and I think quarterbacks and wide receivers are a lot more valuable and consistent than higher tier running backs just because of the injury bug.
Z?
I don't think I'm going to ever draft a quarterback first round. I think, if I see Tyreek on the board, man, I have to take him. He's just an absolute monster. Kelsey, have to take him. Those are really hard to come by.
Yeah, I think it depends on the value too.
Mm-hmm.
Because with you having those picks, you picked, I think, perfectly for where you were at in the draft, because those guys are league winners. And earlier in the draft, like, yes, you could go quarterback, like, or even a higher tier wide receiver. But then I think when you get past like maybe like the top 4 in quarterbacks, then it kind of dips into, okay, what wide receivers could either outperform those 5 and below quarterbacks that are ranked in that range, and what wide receivers could really win me the league. And Tyreek can win you the league.
Yeah. And look how many quarterbacks came out of the closet, you know, this year and were performing high octane, you know, like,
yep.
I mean, so you never
There's always
know.
value, right?
All right, boys. Predictions. Let's get into the final section. We're at 45 minutes here. I think we're getting close to winding down. Predictions. Who do you guys think is going to make the playoffs?
Oh, dude, these like top. I mean, right now it's pretty much 8 teams are vying for 7 spots. I mean, obviously you've got the top 3. I mean, you guys are definitely making, obviously, like Zeke, you've already clinched. So, and then James, like you with the points 4. So, I think it's Austin or Danny don't make the playoffs.
Danny falls out. Yeah, Danny could definitely have a mega fall from where he's at. I think Tommy's teams.
I hate to say it, but
they're the teams that have been trending down.
Just Deshaun Watson going down. It might ruin his season.
Who's leading? Who's from the outside looking in with the most points? I think Austin has the most points outside looking in. Am I right?
Let me check this. Danke has Austin has a lot more points than Danke. Holy shit!
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a very big game for the machines if they, you know, and it sucks that it has to be against the Power Walkers, but the machines' schedule is super tough, and you know, if they get in the playoffs, they deserve to be there, and they're going to be a scary ass team. But like they need to win this week. If they don't, then I think if they don't win and Austin gets the win, I think Austin's in. But if Austin doesn't win, and Danny doesn't win, I see Austin out, and and I see everybody else in. I think Austin and machines are on the fucking clock, and the season's on the line.
One of them's gonna win the points for power. The points for power. And Austin does not get his guy back till week 14. He's got to survive week 12's week 13. It looks like he's got a win on week 12 here because he's playing multiple score GASMS. Danke might have a more difficult uphill schedule than Austin.
He's got Tommy and then Jeff, but then he could win week 14.
Wow.
So he could go 1-2 and just kind of sneak in with record, but
Austin's got a great schedule. He's got score GASMS this week. He's got titties next week. If he could stack wins there, he's got a good shot going into he's going to play machines to end the season. Sharp fingers versus machines.
Wow. Dude, week 14 will be wild. It will be unbelievable.
And I hate to say this, Bruce, but I think you really need to win this week too, man.
I do, because next week, I mean, I'm facing SHMNS, but I still need to put up points, and not having 2 quarterbacks gonna make it real interesting.
Yeah, and then you have Tommy to end it all. So
yeah, I just gotta put up as many points as I can.
Crazy.
All right, boys. I think that's about all we got for today. What's your final words of wisdom of the week, Bruce?
Final words. Pick the right kicker. That's it.
I've been thinking about towards week 14 and who's hot and where I want to be in this playoff bracket, and I'm thinking about throwing a few games to get in a strategic spot if I need to. That's just I just wanted to put that in the universe and let everybody know that, like, if I
see,
I will
like,
be public
okay,
about...
I'm glad you brought that up, because I've like researched this and read about it and stuff, like trying to do that, and it's almost like every time you try to do that, the fantasy gods like put a spell on you for like your next game or the playoffs or whatever you do, because it always doesn't go how you think it's going to go, and then like it backfires, and then like something happens and you just get screwed. So I just want to put that out there to you.
Yeah, it's just something to consider. It's something that it's like the last play in my pocket at the end of the season.
Because I remember thinking about doing that. I think it was like 2 years ago, where I was in like that cusp of like between 4 and 6. I'm like, okay, well, how do I want to play what I think is a better or a worse team, you could say, or a better matchup in the playoffs? But I just went ahead with my lineup. I didn't want to jinx anything. I didn't want to do anything as far as future matchups. I just want to play my team and play my matchup, and that's it.
Yeah. My advice. My advice is, and this is, and I promise to the whole league, my last Danny comment. All right, I'm gonna like end it with this. I won't rag on him anymore.
I have a question for you after you're done too.
All
right. My last Danny comment. Don't ever talk so much shit and not back it up, and then like not back it up the next week after. Like, it just really, just a really bad look. And like, I don't know. I just don't want anybody else to have to go through the same embarrassment that he has gone through. And so, yeah, that's my advice. Just don't talk shit if you don't
want to get hit.
If you don't have the caliber to back it up.
Don't talk shit if you don't have the caliber to get hit.
There you go. And then when are you dropping Russ?
Week 15, week this week. I think you drop him this week, dude. Just surprise the world.
I think if I do, I think it's one of those things that'll bite me in the butt. And I think I'm just really thinking that I might give Kyler the start, either if I make it to the semifinals or the finals. But I think it just helps me immensely to not release him into the league. And like, you know, I could have an injury in the playoffs where it could help me. You know, I just feel like keeping him on the bench, you know, keeping that monkey in my back pocket is the best thing for my team and for my trajectory.
I would take a leaf out of Bruce's book and do what he did this weekend. Bruce, who'd you drop? Like with like minutes to spare, basically, that made it so everybody's going to be looking to grab him on tonight.
Yeah, Mr. Geno.
Wow.
Bruce dropped Geno Smith beyond the time when it was when you could pick him up, essentially, because the waivers for him would run the next day. So that's something you could think about, Zeke. You know, maybe you drop Russ right there, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., boom, there's Kyler. You got him out there. You surprise everybody. Nobody has the game plans for Kyler. Boom, he's able to run roughshod over your opponent.
Yeah, but think about the top 6 teams. There's a lot of teams.
Right.
Power Walker's one, the richest team in the league right now, who need a quarterback. Okay, he doesn't want to start Baker.
You're right.
He'd rather have a Russ. And so I don't want to hand my adversary something on a platter, man. I just don't want to do that.
No, you don't. You don't want to gift your opponents any points.
Right.
You don't.
Yep. That's the game we play.
And that's just something I believe. I do. It's just something
I think if the Power Walkers don't pick him up, Danny will. And
well, why wouldn't Austin make a run? I mean, I really think
Exactly.
he would make
There's
a run.
so many
I
things
do.
that could benefit from. I mean, I would say at least a QB2, and right, like that was my thinking. I mean, with Gino, I mean, I knew somebody was going to try to pick him up, and I didn't do it like purposely, like Sunday morning. I mean, I really could have done it Saturday. It would have been the same thing. But like, just wanted to make sure that everything was good to go with Fields, and dropping him on Sunday. Like, obviously, like no one was able to pick him up, and now it's going to be a fight to get him.
Oh, well, football's hard. Football's hard. I really believe that. I do. Now
And
guys,
we're all trying to win.
I think this week's going to be bananas. I can't wait.
speaking of the shit is bananas, I got my words of the week of advice. It's this. If something doesn't go your way, it's probably because you didn't work that hard at it. I believe that. I do.
Oh, I love that. Like, but
That's great.
the truth is, like, all the results are almost completely out of our hands. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
they're
it's not-
so random. Like, there's so much luck in
But
it.
if something doesn't go your way, I mean, it's probably because you didn't work that hard to get it. I really believe that. I do.
you didn't work that hard to like play Calvin Ridley instead of somebody else. Like, you didn't move your finger.
Nah, you're sleeping at the wheel.
You didn't look at the matchup. You didn't look at the cornerback matchup. You didn't look at the stats. You didn't look at the history. Nope.
You got all these opponents out here doing all this research, and you just thinking you could pass by, just like a fly in the wind. Like, yeah, I'll land on a piece of fruit. Yeah, it's right there. I see it. But you got to believe people know when to find fruit, and they know when it's rotten. Danny.
Hey, man, it wasn't me that said it. It wasn't me this time.
I believe that. I do.
Oh man, well tonight was great, man. I'm glad we got a little podcast in, and you know, there's gonna be something for the boys to listen to tomorrow on their way to work.
Absolutely. I'm glad Zeke prodded me. I sent Bruce a text message. He actually, it was funny. Bruce texted me minutes after Zeke called me. He's like, "Hey, is there gonna be a podcast?" I was like, "Did you hear? Did you hear the phone call?" But man, oh man, it's been boom. I got you guys on the horn, and it's just fun talking foosball with you guys. I really believe that. I do.
I think next week we can touch on topics like, you know, maybe, you know, we can discuss what a 14-team league would look like.
Well,
A bunch of
Fortnite's
other,
2
like,
weeks, Zeke.
wild-
Fortnite's 2 weeks. Oh, you said 14. Sorry, I misheard you.
Yeah, 14-team league, you know, just like, because, you know, I
14-team league? No, not in this league. Maybe in a new league. I don't want to fuck with the settings in this league. I don't.
You know, I was talking to your league's first champion, Zach Hayden, and he really wanted to get back in the game.
We asked him. We offered him Elliot's spot first. We did.
Wow.
We
He said no.
We called him. We asked him first. He said no. And then,
Oh my God.
then Jeffrey got chopping at the bit, and sometimes when Jeffrey gets chopping at the bit, he'll invent allies, and all of a sudden, you know, hey, I was talking to the boys, and they all think we should do this and bring and do this, and I was like, oh, sounds good to me. But you and I were talking, and I thought you were going to give me time to ask a couple people. And I was looking at Cedar. I was talking with Zach. I was talking with Dane, formerly in the league. But I do think that Herbie is a fantastic owner. He knows his stuff. He's going to be fun. And one thing that's taken Herbie by surprise is the fact that everybody in this league's so gosh damn good. They are.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it fun. Like every week coming down to Monday Night Football, like, I mean, everybody is just so like knowledgeable and aware of what's going on, not only on the waiver wire, but just in the NFL in general, and just picking up guys. And I mean, it's a great league.
There's guys who surprise you. You think they're not paying attention. All of a sudden, bam, there's a 50 banger, and there's Dobbs in their lineup, and they're coming for you. Iron sharpens iron. I say that all the time. I do.
Hey, what's this accent you started in the last half of this podcast?
I don't know. It's like a mix of like an East Coast Chicago accent.
It has like a
It's just like
1920
kind of came out. And I'm like, okay, well, one time that's fine. It's like, and then it just kept going. I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting.
It has a 1920s vibe to it too as well.
A little bit, yeah. Just
Hey, quick question: when you went shopping for new owners, after our dear friend departed this beautiful world, did it cross your mind to approach Steph?
It did, but we learned our lesson. We didn't want to retread that, and if we, at least now, the reason we didn't want them to even have a team this year, they got a baby going on. They got too much going on. In years past, it's look at our league. Our league is a league full of sharps, and when you put a stick of butter in our league, that butter gets sliced up. So,
Sliced real thin.
I mean, so we got rid of a stick of butter and we brought in another knife.
Love it.
And really, if you look at our league from top to bottom, it is a knife set.
And I think we should also, have a conversation about next year's draft. It would be really cool if we were all in the same room.
I believe that'd be real fun. I do.
Yeah. Anyway,
that'd be fun, dude.
I'm an hour ahead of you guys, so I'm gonna hit the sack. But,
all right, brothers.
Much love. Good luck.
All right, everybody.
Hey, bud.
That's the podcast, everybody. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Throwing ropes, kick that line, punt it. All right, boys. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you guys in the next one. Punt that like button. Comment what was your favorite part. Let us know. I really want to read it. I do. Guys, later. Be right back.